See for yourself at Brava.com.
We want to give people a break from things like mask wearing when these metrics are better, and then have the ability to reach for them again should things worsen. If and when we update our guidance, we will communicate that clearly, and it will be based on the data and the science.
That was CDC Director Walensky yesterday, refusing to drop the mask guidelines right now, but says that an update might happen soon. This as Democrat-led cities and states have dropped some of their mask mandates, conveniently close to the midterm elections. Meanwhile, states are fighting back. Texas is now suing the CDC over its airport mask mandate, which has been in place for over a year. Joining me right now is Texas Congressman Michael Burgess. He's a member of the Energy and Commerce Committee. He is also a medical doctor. Congressman, it's great to see you. Thanks very much for being here. What do you make of what's going on? You've got a lot, several in the double digits, Democrat-led cities who have dropped the mask mandates, and the White House so far not budging. What's going on?
Yeah. This is weird, isn't it? People are done. And, you know that iconic picture of the sailor kissing his girlfriend on the streets of New York that ended World War II? Well, that iconic clip of the kids in class when they were told they didn't have to wear their masks anymore, and the unbridled joy, the rapture that they had, this is where the public is right now. CDC is way behind the curve. Energy and Commerce had a phone call with the CDC director yesterday. Wasn't on the record, wasn't no transcript. But these confusing guidelines are putting this, the CDC is not leading this, and they're not leading with the science. Look, there's plenty of reason to, at every state that has dropped the mask mandates, you haven't seen a spike. Okay, time to move on. Let's let the country get back to normal.
Yeah. Well, look, Texas is fighting back, certainly. The AG, Ken Paxton, filed his 22nd lawsuit yesterday regarding the anti-science, he says, virtue signaling masks on airlines and airports. Masks on planes are not only silly, he says, but illegal, too. He is joining this lawsuit and restraining Democrats' lawless government, he says, to end these mask mandates. Your thoughts?
Well, of course, I wear a mask when I'm on the plane. I think it is a pretty fruitless exercise. When we were in the throes of this illness 2 years ago, there was no mask mandate on the plane. And I don't think, looking at the literature back then, there were more than just one or two cases of someone that possibly contracted the disease on the plane. Air filtration systems are good. Look, we know now most people are vaxxed and boosted. Okay, great, good for them. And it's time to lift the mask mandates on plane. Because the reality is, I carry a mask in my pocket all week, and I get on a plane and I put it on my face. You know, really, what's going on there? I'm just doing it because it's political theater. It's health hygiene, or hygiene theater, rather.
Yeah. Well, look, Texas is also, my sources tell me that Texas is also going to be investigating big tech, including TikTok, that we may see a lawsuit against TikTok within the next couple of days. Look, this is an issue around TikTok luring teenagers to use them as getaway cars at the border. Congressman, you've been to the border. You know what's going on. These drug cartels are putting ads on TikTok. TikTok is giving them the platform to recruit getaway cars, and these teenagers are making $1,000 a head on jamming as many illegal migrants into their cars as possible. They don't even have a driver's license, and they're getaway cars taking illegals from the border to Houston.
And the traffic mishaps, accidents that occur as a result of the unsafe driving processes. I mean, that Highway Patrol, Customs and Border Protection will relate story after story about unsafe driving practices that are associated with that type of activity. But you're right. The TikTok is used as a recruitment tool. You would think, of course, the United States federal government, which has the responsibility for securing the border, you would think that that's where the focus would be. But unfortunately, our state government has had to step in where the federal government has, in fact, failed. And I'm grateful.
We haven't heard the Biden administration discuss. We have not heard the Biden administration discuss this out of control situation at the border at all, Congressman, right? I mean, Kamala Harris claimed that she went there. She actually did not go to the border. She went to El Paso and didn't go to where the actual migrants are really increasing in numbers. Almost 154,000 migrant encounters were made by Border Patrol just in January. That's almost double last year's January number, and migrants are flowing into the country along with drugs, illicit narcotics coming in. Democrats are slamming Border Patrol for what they're calling inhumane treatment of black migrants. In a letter, these Democrat lawmakers are calling on Biden to find a solution to the border crisis that reflects what they are calling a commitment to inclusivity, citing images like this from a September incident where border agents were the Biden administration created some story that they were being whipped. I mean, there was absolutely no whipping that we saw, and yet the administration gets away with accusing border agents of treating migrants badly rather than focusing on the lawlessness happening there, Congressman.
Yeah, it's pathetic. Yeah, I've been down there too. The men and women who were involved in the mounted patrols. I mean, these are the highest of the top of the profession, and they are the best. And you know what? In spite of all the hefty rhetoric coming out of the White House, they're still in use and they're still performing a very valuable service, and I'm grateful for that. Their activity was not stopped after the Biden administration pledged to do so. But again, this federal responsibility that should be borne by the federal government. One of the areas where I'm focusing, and as we're finally doing an appropriations attempt in Congress, is we got to pay Texas back the $3 billion they spent doing Biden's job this past year. And I'll tell you this. If you don't go to the border, if you don't look at it and see it with your own eyes, you've done it, I've done it, the president needs to do it, the vice president needs to do it. Landing in El Paso and driving north does not count as going to the border. Yeah. You've got to see what's happening on the ground to be able to understand the absolute chaos and why our federal agents, our men and women in Customs and Border Protection feel so abandoned, and it's honestly hard to keep them on the job.
Yeah, Congressman, you make a great point, and I absolutely agree. It's extraordinary what we witnessed on the border. We've been there 4 times now. Real quick before you go, Congressman Burgess, you're a medical doctor. Is there anything you want to say about what we are seeing from Joe Biden? I mean, it pains me to discuss this, our commander-in-chief, but is there something to be done on a congressional level in terms of a yearly test for mental capacity?
Well, of course, as commander-in-chief, he is supposed to undergo a yearly physical at Walter Reed, and I'm trusting that mental status is part of that evaluation. But look, I've always been critical. I was in the last administration. I was critical of doctors and psychiatrists that would try to diagnose from the television. All I know is when I go back and watch the performance of Vice President Joe Biden against Paul Ryan during the vice presidential debates, that's not the same person I'm seeing in the Oval Office today.
Yeah. Congressman, the world is watching as well. Good to see you this morning, sir. Thanks very much. Michael Burgess joining us. Stay with us. We'll be right back.